getting
No.
that done this time. I'm
No,
surprising you.
Okay, that was good. That was good. That was really, really good.
Hello and happy Tuesday, Wanderers. We are so excited to get to hang out with you all this Tuesday evening, which is kind of random because we usually see y'all on Sundays.
Tonight, we have a very, very amazing topic, one that is near and dear to our hearts, especially after the first 6 months of dealing with the same issue of frozen internet and all the crappy internet problems that we've had so far. So,
if you've been following our journey from the start, you know that when we started doing some of these lives in the Airstream, the internet was like really bad, like really, really bad. So yeah, Alex, you remember those days?
so bad.
No, we're not frozen. Our internet actually works, which is a win. And to be fair, we are in the middle of nowhere right now. We are in New Jersey. We're about a little over an hour outside of New York City, but we are in a reserve. And we're like one of just a handful of RVs that are even out here. So the fact that we can do it live and see you guys and hang out tonight is basically the greatest thing ever. And it is all because of our friend Steve, who I am excited to add to our live stream now, who is the genius behind Bix Wireless and also actually educating us on how mobile Wi-Fi works. Because it's kind of a confusing topic. Steve, we're so excited you're here.
We had so many questions to start out, so that's why we're super glad to have Steve here. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, guys. How you doing tonight?
Very well.
We're loving it. We're on good internet. You can hear and see us, and we owe that thanks to you.
Great. That's awesome.
Well, Steve, before we jump into the series of questions that we want to talk to you about tonight, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, all that good stuff?
Well, I've actually been in the ISP industry now for about 18 years, so I'm not new to the industry. And this is the first time that we've went nationwide with our internet. So it's kind of cool. Before we were regional. We had a couple of states that we did. Now we're doing a nationwide. In fact, we got customers in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. So it's kind of cool. We're a small company. We're based out of Tennessee. We're not too far from the Smoky Mountains. Pretty cool. And we do everything local, kind of like what you're about with your channel. And we hire all local people here. We don't have a call center out that we outsource or anything. So if customers call, they might hear a Tennessee accent. We get it. So
right there.
There you go. So anyway, we speak Tennessee here. So it's pretty cool. We got a nice, we're not a large company. We're a fairly small company, but we do have a full staff. We've got a call center. We've got IT. We've got billing. So, we're able to take care of all of our customers, which we like. So anyway, that's what we're about. It's kind of a cool business. We make a lot of smiles. So, and we like that.
We've got a lot of people on here that have followed us since, the very beginning. And our first live streams were, the fact that they stuck with us is just a true testament to how amazing they are, because we put them through the ringer when we first started. Our live streams were rough. Our
internet just couldn't handle it. It was a thing.
It was so bad, wasn't it?
It totally was. But enough about us. So from a standpoint of one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to bring you on this lab tonight is because, Steve, we talked to so many people before we found you, and it was just like one confusing answer after the other. Whether we were going directly to the carriers and they were not sure what the heck to do with us because we wanted mobile internet for our RV, and they were like, what is that modem thing that you have? Like, we have SIM cards for iPads and for phones, but we don't know what that thing is. And we're like, this is just a nightmare. So, I mean, I think the number one question that was in our heads is like, why the heck is mobile internet so much more difficult than just getting internet for your sticks and bricks?
Yeah, and that's, your story is not too much different than the phone calls that we get on a daily basis. So, we have a growing population that's moving out of the city that's also doing what you guys are doing. They're going full-time camping. We got truckers that practically live in their trucks. And, obviously for those folks, there's no such thing as a wire. And going to the carrier directly, a lot of them, unless you find a special deal, and I'm not saying they don't exist, because there are times that they'll have a special deal going on. Now, all the carriers will, say they have unlimited service. And it's kind of a misnomer because, really it is unlimited, but usually what happens is after a certain amount of data, you get really severely throttled. So, I mean, it is still unlimited. You can use as much as you want, but when it's running at 600K, it's a little difficult to do, streaming or anything like that. So with our service, we don't do that. We actually have, unlimited service. There are abuse policies that apply. The carriers say, it's unlimited, but it's not unreasonable. So,
right.
We have an abuse policy on our website, which, about every reseller like us has that. But most people don't know about this. And, most people, think of calling their cable company or their local provider, whoever it may be, and getting service from them. But if you live out and beyond, their reach, you're in a different world, and it's difficult. There's a couple different solutions. One is a company like us. We sell unlimited LTE nationwide, as long as you have a signal from a carrier. Like if you got an AT&T phone, you got a signal on your phone, you can get our service.
Yeah.
And there is some satellite services being offered now. The satellite outside of this new Starlink that's being offered has a really bad latency. The cost is really high on it, and you're I haven't looked at the plans lately, but from when I'd seen them last, they only let you have so much data per day.
Yeah.
And it's on a daily thing, and then they would just really charge you per gig usage or per meg usage after that. So it's not a real good solution if you're a fairly heavy user.
Sure.
If you're just checking emails or website, it may work for you. But
Yeah.
if you spend much time on the internet at all, you'll find that that's probably not going to be enough service.
That makes sense. Steve, real quick, Aaron has a good question here, and he asks, what defines, quote, abuse? I'll use 200 to 300 gigs a month.
That's not abusive. When we start seeing people getting close to a terabyte a month, they're starting to get into the gray area. And I will tell you this, the abuse policy with most carriers is a little gray anyway. And, we don't make the policy, they do. I mean, we're just following their guidelines. Obviously hacking and doing bad things on the internet is going to definitely qualify. But what we tell people is, don't use a tremendous amount of data in a short period of time. In other words, if you say you use your 500 or 600 gig per month customer, and we have a lot of those, that's not a problem. But if you do all that in 3 days, you're going to get red flagged. So, I mean, just spread it out. So, and, one of the biggest things that people use that require a lot of data is online gaming. It's not playing the game. The game itself, as you're playing the game, doesn't use much data. It's the downloading of the game and the updates of the game that really use a lot of it. And some people don't realize they're using this much data, but they'll have automatic updates turned on their gaming systems. And while they're sleeping in bed, this thing is downloading. They don't realize that. So we don't have a whole lot of people getting in trouble with a lot of usage. It's a very small percentage. I'm going to say it's less than 2%, but it does happen. So, if you got 4 or 5 gaming systems in the house and you got them on automatic updates and you got a lot of games on them, you might qualify.
Well, I mean, I know for us, we wondered that same question when we started having these conversations. And for us, we upload so much video. Mm-hmm. And the files are humongous. And the idea of being able to upload from the Airstream seemed like a pipe dream. And granted, I mean, it always depends on where we're at and what that connection is like with the service provider. But when we're in a place where we've got solid service, we can upload that video, I mean, as quick as we can at like a Marriott, which was previously our go-to hack.
Our hack was going to a hotel.
Yep.
And using their bandwidth.
You'll find with LTE, a lot of times your upload is just about as good as your download with it. in our office, we have about 120, 130 meg download speed is what we get at our office. Our upload is like 70.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, it's really good. And we've seen some instances where it's actually opposite. We've seen some people have a really high upload, but their download is not quite as fast. And that's just the characteristics of LTE, depending on what, and I can get into that later, but all towers are not created equal.
That makes sense. EXT Spence has a question. How much bandwidth do services like Netflix consume?
A typical high def Netflix, if you got your settings on the high def setting, and I'm not talking about 4K, I'm just talking about 1080p, which is, and I have Netflix, so I know what it does. You're going to see about 3 to 4 gig per hour. So it depends on how much you watch.
Okay.
So that's about what the streaming rate is. So if you watched, 10 hours a day, you're going to be around the 30 gig area per day. So that's where you would be. Most people don't watch Netflix for 10 hours a day, but that just gives you an idea.
I had no idea. I mean, when we first started, we were probably like a lot of people were using our phones as hotspots, and it only had 20 gigs for the month. So like a week in, it was tapped, and that's 5 or 6 movies. It was unlimited, right?
Right.
But it was not. I mean, you couldn't watch Netflix, you couldn't anything. And once they hit that throttle level, it was done.
That's right. And myself, we had a toy hauler camper, and my wife and I, we would snowbird in Arizona and out west and Southwest almost every year. And, before we had our company, I know what it's like because, we had hotspots on our phones, which, we have Verizon, and after 15 gigs, it was throttled. So that's not very much data. Obviously, we weren't going to stream anything, but, we could check websites and email and that kind of thing. But we were pretty well limited to that. And if you spent a lot of time on it, you probably would have used that up as well. But, and we would use Campground Wi-Fi. Horrible. I've only found 2 campgrounds in the entire country that we've ever, and we've camped in 32 states. So I've been all over the country, probably not as much as you guys have been, but I've been in enough states that I know how Campground Wi-Fi works. And sometimes it's okay in the morning when nobody else is on it, but in the evening when everybody's there, it's gone. I mean, sometimes you can't even load a web page. So it was awful. So,
it's just because everybody's sharing the same bandwidth. Is that kind of what happens with the parks?
Yeah. Most of the campground owners, and I used to have a wireless company too that did things like this. So most of your campground owners don't really understand their own network. And I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm just saying that, they usually have a company come in and put it in for them, but they don't really know a lot about it. What happens is the system can handle so many people. But when you put, 50, 60 campers all on that system and larger campgrounds would be more, and they're all streaming at 2 and 3 gig per hour, the system is so overloaded that it can't handle the packets per second. It may not have enough back into it. There's a lot of factors involved here, but it's just too much stuff or too small of a network for most of them. And a lot of these campgrounds had Wi-Fi put in years ago before the consumer like us grew so hungry with internet.
Right.
We use more internet now than what we ever have because you have online services like Netflix and all these things that stream, and YouTube is a big thing. Hulu, you got all these things out there now.
Right.
They didn't have them back when, a lot of these campgrounds were putting Wi-Fi in. So they just weren't built for that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Right. Aaron's got a pretty good question here as well. It says, what's the best for unlimited data at a set price? I keep researching services and it says unlimited data with charges over, say, 50 gigs a month. And that happened to us as well. We'd have 20 gigs and then it was just throttled and then I'd have to pay like per gig. And it got expensive very fast. I don't think people realize that. It'd be like, then you tap out that gig and then you get, it's just like a never ending cycle of like adding on more throughout the month, then you get your bill, you're like, crap.
Yeah, it can come, and if you're not watching or monitoring, it can actually come as a surprise to you just how much data you use because honestly, updates for your computer, Windows, all these things are real bandwidth hogs. So you can burn up a lot of data in a really short period of time. It's hard to say, what Aaron's talking about here is pretty common. I mean, most carriers will have, like my Verizon, it's only 15 gig. I'm in an old contract, but some of the newer ones now will let you have maybe a 50, and some of them I've heard of are even 100 gig now, which, for Well, for guys like you and me, that's not going to be enough.
Right.
And, you're going to pay a flat rate for that up to a certain amount and then more. Now, don't hold me on this because these rates and these plans change pretty often. But rarely do you ever see many plans being offered like what we have, where you have a set flat rate. There's no contract to our service, and you can pretty much use as much data as you want, and the speed never gets reduced.
Yeah, I feel like they're like unicorns. Like I've heard of them throughout the RV world, and then somebody's like, "Oh, I got it during this like 1 month whatever pitch," and then they were gone, and that was it. You never had access to it ever again, sort of thing. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, totally off topic, but Andrew has a question. What's with the hats? Y'all cold? So we're in New Jersey tonight, and it is 40-something, 44 degrees. And
it's dropping to the 20s.
Yeah, it's dropping to, I think, the 30s. It's not going to be the 20s. It's going to be fine.
It might as well be 0.
But for those of y'all who have been hanging out with us, we don't do cold weather well. It's really not cold in the Airstream. We have the heater on, and it feels lovely in here. But we did go take a walk right before we came to hang out with y'all, and we didn't want to fix our hair. So that is the reason why you guys are seeing us.
That's a truth bomb. I didn't want to fix my hair, so it just kept the hat on. That's exactly it.
Okay, so back to the good stuff. I like what Fly says. I was able to get unlimited data, but who knows how long that will last. Totally get that. So one of the questions we get asked a lot. So we're in the Airstream Classic, and with our Airstream, it comes with Airstream Connect. And even if you don't have a Classic, you have the ability to upgrade and add Airstream Connect into your Airstream. So with the Airstream Connect system, it already comes with a router. And so one of the questions that we get is, can you just add like an AT&T SIM card or one of the SIM cards that you would get from Bix into that router modem? That's a whole nother question. And will it just work?
The answer to that is it should. I'm assuming that you're talking about a PepWave modem / router that's in there. Yeah. And PepWave is very friendly with our service. So yes, those will work. Now we've had some customers with WineGuard, and those are a crapshoot. I'm not going to kid anybody. We tell everybody that calls us on the phone, if they got a WineGuard system, it's a 50-50 crapshoot whether they'll work or not. And we've really never pinned down what the real issue is. We got some people that has no problem at all. They hook right up with that. Other ones, not so much. And they've called WineGuard on the phone, customer support. They'd have to call them because they can't call us. We don't support WineGuard or any modem for that matter. But the PepWaves that come in the Airstreams, we've got several of them. I don't even know how many we've got, but I'm sure there's hundreds of them out there. And I've never heard of one issue so far of using the PepLink or the PepWave.
Okay, very cool. And Gabby asks, do you know if Airstream Connect can be added to the 2019 Globetrotter?
We know this now because we just got off a call with Airstream Corporate. Actually, that is one of the add-ons that they can add to any Airstream. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, the only caveat to this at all is they'll need to get their manual out and learn how to log into the modem. And every modem has the ability to log into that and have a username and password. A lot of times you can just log into it via its Wi-Fi. And you may need to make a couple setting changes. And when people sign up, we tell them what those settings are.
Okay.
Got it. And we before we knew about potentially even using the one that came with it, we just bought another router, and we use that separately. But if they don't have Airstream Connect, I mean, you have modems as well, right?
We do. We have what's called the Netgear Nighthawk MR1100s. We've got brand new ones that we sell. In fact, we got a killer price on that. We're about half the price of what Best Buy is. Actually, a little less than half price.
Okay.
So we do have those, and there's times we run out because of supply.
Yeah.
The supply chain is broken. Right now, we've got quite a few of them in stock. We just got a shipment in yesterday, which we were surprised. We didn't think we were going to get it, but they told us when we made this order that what we have now, we won't get any more till February. So whatever we sell out of between now and February is all we're going to have. And then hopefully, I'm hoping we ordered enough to hold us through February, but we don't know. We never know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also just on a note with the Airstream Connect thing, I do know one of the reasons we actually purchased our own router. We didn't realize we could possibly use the Airstream Connect one when we made that purchase. But the Airstream Connect does automatically come with a direct AT&T, but I will say, as it stands today, it's astronomically expensive.
Oh my gosh, that's a good point.
Because we wanted to get to their max plan right now, and I do think that Airstream is trying to work on this. But it's like 100 gigs, and it's like $300 for the 100 gigs,
which is 100 gigs,
insane.
$300. I mean,
insane.
And this is well, and we're Airstream ambassadors too. So I mean, that's not good.
So you can also just get your own router versus going and having it installed. But what I will say is great about if you have Airstream install, Airstream Connect, is that it is like they do figure out where to position it in the Airstream and like create a little box around it and all that kind of good stuff, which is nice. So, okay, Christopher has a question that I don't even know how to begin to understand. So Steve, tell me if this makes sense. Is this broadband issue something BBB is going to solve? I've been out of the country, and it seems our relative broadband or bandwidth service is mediocre at best.
Yeah, I've been in Europe. I've been in Germany. They've got great internet in other countries as far as pricing and packages compared to ours. The BBB isn't going to do anything. This is, I don't, unless it's regulated by our federal government. I mean, all of us are individual operators. We own our own businesses. We sell internet. That's why the prices vary so much. And obviously our deal is whatever we can negotiate with the carriers as well. So, we're limited by what we can get them for. And whether that ever gets solved or not, I really couldn't tell you.
Got it.
Fair enough. We've got tons of good questions coming in at this point.
There's some good ones coming in.
AS Wino says, seems to me directional
mass antennas are almost required to get remote cell service. Is this right? And let me just start by saying that we're not using the Airstream Connect. We literally just have our router here, and that's it. So we've got these antennas, and that's all we're using right now. So we've got nothing run to the roof or anything.
Well, and that, to answer that question, it really depends on where you are. I mean, that really comes down to it. The reason I say that is because if you're within 3 to 4 miles of a cell tower, you probably not going to need one. And are you that distance from the right cell tower? Because all cell towers look alike. I mean, a Verizon tower looks like a Sprint tower, looks like an AT&T tower. We've had customers say, "Well, I'm right across the street from the cell tower." Well, guess what? That wasn't the right cell tower. So, these right here are what we sell. These are little Netgear Nighthawk modems. These are actually really good. They work indoors, and they do have most modems. And I'll take these little covers off here. I don't know if you can see this or not. They have these two little places right here, right there, and one over here, where you can actually put an external antenna on these. And external antennas, for some people, work. For some people, they don't. And here, let me preface this by saying that if you've got 4 or 5 bars on your device, like these right here, they got bars on them. And most devices have some kind of a signal indicator on them. If you've got pretty good signal with your device, adding an external antenna really doesn't help you. This goes back to when I was saying that not all cell towers are created equal, and that's. And let me say that cell towers have different bands on them. Okay. So and they do this so that they can have overlapping service, because they don't want this tower on the same channel as another tower 5 miles away, and they both interfere with each other. So what they'll do is they'll put certain channels on this tower and different channels on this tower. If you're someplace in the middle, your LTE unit's going to connect up to one or the other, or typically what it does is it connects up to the strongest one. That may not be the best band that has the most bandwidth, but it's just the strongest signal. That's kind of the way the LTE works. So if you're 5, 6, 7 miles away from a cell tower, and you're using a small modem like this, an antenna is probably going to help you, especially if you've only got 1 or 2 bars. Mm-hmm. I've seen and I've been in enough places with mine that there's times that I've only had 1 or 2 bars. I hook up an external antenna on here, and it made a big difference. I mean, I went from a 5 meg to a 40 meg download, and that's a big difference right there.
Yeah.
So we've had customers email us back and say and we actually sell external antennas, and they're on our website as well. And we've had customers hook them up, and they've emailed us back and said, "Hey, thank you. It's working great. I'm getting a 90 meg download where I was only getting a 25 meg download before." And again, it's a case by case basis, because I can't just tell you for everyone that it's going to work. It's almost a little voodoo magic in this thing. So, and it's hard to say whether it's going to help you or not. But just remember that if you got a really low signal, it's probably going to help you. If you got a strong signal, it's not going to make it go any faster.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Another question.
Coming in from Paul, it says, what about using the supplied modem service on Ford trucks?
I don't know anything about that.
We have a Ford.
I am not familiar with that at all.
I did not even know that was an option. That's
so
Paul, every manufacturer of vehicles and RV that puts a modem in there, you need to know the brand of the modem that's actually in the vehicle. Like Airstream's got their Connect service, but it's actually a PEP wave. If I know what that is, I can probably tell you. But but just the manufacturer, I'm not going to know, because I would need to know what the actual modem itself is.
Okay. Well, we're getting some really good questions here. EXT Spence, do you have a list of the PEP-Wave devices that are compatible? He's currently using the Max Transit Duo. EXT Spence, this is a Max Transit Duo. So the answer is 100% yes, because that's what we're using right now.
We actually have a modem list on our website. If you go to bixwireless.com, and then there's when you go in, I forget where it's at. I'm not looking at the site right now, but if you go on our website, we actually have a modem list, and we have what's called approved modems, and anything outside of the approved modems should probably work, but we've seen some instances where they don't work well, and customers have had to change and get a different modem that is a compatible modem. Well, for example, we've had a couple customers in the last month or two, I think 4 or 5 of them, that had something we've never even heard of. I don't know if it was a Chinese modem or some off-brand modem. And, our answer to them, there's so many modems on the market. It's hard for us to know what's going to work. Yeah. Without testing and buying every single one of them and seeing, we don't know. But for the most part, all of them will work, but we've seen some issues with some that are just not on our compatible list that we've got on our website. And by switching over ones that's compatible, they've seen, a 4 and 5 times speed increase by using a proper modem.
Okay. Interesting.
You're making it so easy to understand. I mean, this is why we wanted to bring you on. We were like a deer in headlights when we started doing our research, and no one out there was helpful. We called around, and
it's so true.
They just spoke over our heads every single time. So,
well, a lot of the things that I've learned is just from trial and error. So, we've tested a lot of these things in our office, and and one thing I want to say is I am no expert. We've just made a lot of mistakes, and we've learned from them.
I mean, that's basically
our life philosophy.
That's our entire channel, actually. If you look back at our earlier videos.
So true. Okay, so Michael has a question here. He says he has a Wi-Fi Ranger that came with his coach, but purchased Bix Wireless. Woohoo! Is there a way to use them together?
That's kind of the same question.
I don't know if I've got enough information here. I'm not sure what a Wi-Fi Ranger is, but I'm thinking that's a wireless extender for your modem. And the answer to that is yes, it should work. I don't know that we're going to be able to tell you how to make it work properly, because, and we've got a lot of folks that have a large home. They've got one modem, say like this right here in their home. And by the time they get, 4 rooms away and 5 walls, their Wi-Fi signal from this really goes down. So they'll call us and say, how come my speed is really low? Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is that you're just too far away from this Wi-Fi thing. So people can buy what's called a Wi-Fi extender. You can get these online. Amazon, Best Buy has them. I think even Walmart might even carry these things. But what they typically do is they'll connect up into an Ethernet jack. Some of the ones that go into campers, there are solutions, and they're kind of expensive, they're pricey. But what they do is they've got an antenna. It's a booster, basically. And you can set these beside your modem beside that, and it increases your Wi-Fi range and your LTE range. Now, there's different models. And I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, because a Wi-Fi extender is different than a range extender or a cell phone booster. So those are 2 different products. So, but I'm going to assume that a Wi-Fi Ranger is a Wi-Fi extender, and I hope I'm saying this right. But almost everybody that's got any kind of a modem usually has the ability to extend that Wi-Fi range with using one of those. Now, there's videos on YouTube. We just had a customer last week get a hold of us because they got one of these modems, and their house is big and they're just too far away from it. Mm-hmm. So we just referred them to, it wasn't our video, but it was another video on YouTube, how to put this into pass-through mode and use a Wi-Fi router with it, or a range extender, either one, and then they were able to get their internet further distance away.
Nice.
That makes sense. Well, it's interesting. We have a question that is right in alignment with this. Thoughts on the WeBoost?
They work. And again, let me preface this by saying that, if you've got a modem and you're not using the WeBoost and you've got 4 or 5 bars, the WeBoost, things like that, probably not going to help you. It's not going to make it faster. But if you've only got 1 or 2 bars on your regular modem and you have a WeBoost, and we tried it. In fact, my son-in-law and we were both camping in just outside of Sedona, Arizona. And we didn't really have good signal there where we were. And I just had this right here. My son-in-law's got a WeBoost on his camper. And we were getting about a 6 to 7 meg download speed. He was getting a 50 meg off of his WeBoost using the same modem, but with the WeBoost. So yeah, they do work. So we were just at the edge of coverage where our modem here just I was sitting in the window trying to get it to be a little bit better, because remember, a modem is a lot like a cell phone. As you move around, your bars and signal on this is going to change. So sometimes moving these 10 feet, just like a cell phone, will make a difference between making a call and not. Same with these. With his WeBoost, he was able to really pull it in.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I've literally taken this and I've moved it to different parts of the camper for that very reason.
Yeah, truth.
That's interesting. Okay.
Okay, Laptop TJD says, do you offer seasonal plans? He's RVing March through October.
Well, we don't have a contract. So it's really any kind of a plan, because there's no contract with us. It's just month to month. Now, these are prepaid lines. So if you buy a month's service, you pay for the whole month. In other words, you can't have it for like, a month and a half and then expect to get a refund on that, because again, our service plans are a prepaid plan. So you buy the whole month, but you can cancel at any time. We have customers that, and it's happened quite a few times in the last year. Someone's building a house and they haven't got their service out there, but they need internet out there. They've used this for 6 months or a year while they get their house built. They were living in an RV in the driveway or on the property. And then they've canceled us after they got their home and their internet service put in. So other people, we've got some people that have been with us for many years using their modem inside their RV, and they'll go camping during the summertime. They'll turn us on for, April, and then come October, they're contacting us, say, hey, I need it turned off. Yeah. They can also fill out an online cancellation form, and we cancel everybody usually within 24 hours, 48 if it's a weekend or holiday or something like that. But if a customer gets service with us, we're very responsive. One thing I will tell you is if you order service by 3 p.m. Central Time, which is Tennessee time, where we are, we do same-day shipping, and you'll get an email with tracking number on it. It's going to get to you usually within 3 business days or so, depending on your zip code, maybe 4. And then if you cancel service with us, usually the same day or the next day, you'll get an email back, a confirmation that, we've canceled your service. No hard feelings at all. We get it. Some people just want to have it for a while, and that's okay.
Well, and that was one of the things that we were so impressed with in talking to you, Steve, when we called you, because at the point where we called you, I think we were like ready to pull our hair out.
I was frustrated.
We had way too many client calls. So we run our business from the Airstream, and we had been traveling for a year and a half. We'd always used coffee shops, in Europe, and had never run into any issues, but we've already spoken to the fact that they have better internet in Europe and other places in the world than they do here in the US. Wait a second, hold on, pause moment. Super chat! Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Super sticker.
Super sticker. Oh yeah, that's even better. Woo-hoo. Thank you, Laptop TJD. You are awesome, sir. But we just had never really imagined the internet would be so difficult. And we had gotten to a campground. We had said, okay, I have calls. Let's go to a coffee shop. Got online at the coffee shop. And my client, he goes, Lauren, I love y'all. And I really enjoy watching the YouTube videos that y'all are doing. I might even buy an Airstream. But for God's sakes, y'all have to figure out this internet thing, because this is obnoxious. And I'm like, I know. This is embarrassing.
And for us, because we do business on the road, having internet is not even an option.
No.
Like, that's how we do business. So in terms of like what we were willing to even spend, I was like, I don't even care what you will charge me.
Well,
we have to have internet.
At the point
you
that
know?
we found you through a YouTube video, through another couple, and I literally had ordered 3 other solutions that day. I was going to order everything that I could find, get them all, and see what worked, because like we were just desperate at that point. And when we talked to you, immediately you were able to help answer some of these big questions for us in real human speak. Boom. B, y'all are a locally owned business. Huge for us. And then last but not least, you got us a SIM card in like 24 hours. And we were just in awe. Like total shock.
Well, you know, and again, we're a small company. We want to try and take care of everybody, and we're able to do that. I mean, and obviously there's times it's a tough job. Trying to make we have thousands and thousands of customers in all states. So it's a tough job, but we're able to do it. We've gotten pretty good. We've got a few systems now, but we get it. I come from your world of traveling and needing internet because I got to have it. I run 2 other small businesses. I got to have internet. I got to be connected. And, you know, we actually ran our entire business from these modems while I was on the road. And our office, if you call our office runs on our service. All of our phones are VoIP phones, voice over IP. In fact, our entire call center is using one of these modems in our office connected up to another router. Yeah. And all of our computers in the place, every internet connection we have in our office is all coming through our own service. So it works great. We could get other service there in town where we're located, but, you know, we'd rather use our own service. It works great, and we're happy with it. But, you know, people that work from home, we can tell you it works because we're all using it. We're able to stream. We're able to, you know, we got, you know, dozens of computers online. Phones are being answered. So, and it's all working through one LTE connection.
Yeah, I love that.
We've got our very good friends over at Love Segment, and they're actively involved in the Airstream International Rallies. Not sure if you're familiar with those, but it's like it's the huge meeting where we all get together, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of Airstreams all in one place. And he says he's extending an invitation to you to present or exhibit at the new 2022 Airstream International Rally in Maine, because our members would love it, and he's 100% right.
Agreed, wholeheartedly.
That's cool. Send me an email invitation to that on our website. If you send an email to sales@Bix Wireless, we'll get it.
Cool. That would be so fun. And we're going to be there too, so we can all hang out in real life.
Cool.
Okay, another great question. AS Winos, any issues running a VPN service with Bix Wireless?
No, we've got a lot of customers that run VPN services because of their work and things. Now, some of them, not all VPNs are the same. There are some very complicated ones. We've had a couple customers out of the many thousands, and this has only been happening a couple of times, that had a real challenge with the type of VPN they were running. It was something very unique. But for 98% of everybody running a VPN, no. In fact, I run one over ours myself, and it works just fine. The only thing I can tell you about this service is we don't offer any static IP addresses, any public IP, but there is some there's some services you can pay for to give you like a public IP address if you're requiring that. But just for a standard VPN, they'll work.
Yeah, and I can even add to that. I've got David who's chiming in here saying his wife uses a VPN for work as well. I do as well. So that's you've got a couple of testimonials there of people who use VPNs.
Yep, that's a real thing. Important to do if you're mobile traveling.
It is. EXT Spence, who are the backing carriers for Bix? That's a very, very good question because we had that exact same question when we called you. He's saying currently we use AT&T, looking to diversify carriers for better coverage.
We've had all carriers. We've had Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. Right now, we are only offering AT&T. We're working on some other contracts right now. Some of the other contracts that we had ended. Some of them early before we wanted them to, but the carriers, the big dog here, they make the rules. We don't. But right now, we only offer AT&T at this moment.
Okay, and that's what we have, just to clarify.
And then Duncan asked a good question. Does it work in Canada without huge international charges?
Unfortunately, it does not. No Canada, no Mexico. Now, it will work in, Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and there's some other islands that I can't remember which ones that they work on. But typically, it is not international. It is only for the United States.
Okay. Sorry, Duncan. Okay, so one of the questions that I think we've kind of danced around a little bit, but not talked about directly. So we've talked a lot about how going directly with the carriers, a lot of them throttle your access. And if you're just using it for like basic internet searching or, checking your email, no big deal. Versus if you're like a data hog, like we are uploading videos for YouTube and streaming our TV and all of that jazz. So why does your service actually work when direct to carrier solutions didn't for our high data usage? Like, why is that?
Well, we deal with a contract that buys thousands and thousands of these lines. If you walk in off the street, you want a big data package like that, you probably can get one, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get it. We negotiate large amounts of these. We have to buy so many thousands of these over a period of time. Okay. And we're able to negotiate these bigger contracts. So that's why we're able to do that. Not everybody can do that. And we've got other companies that do this with us too. So we're able to go in as a big pool. We can buy these large contracts and get this done.
Okay, that makes sense. And that kind of leads to the next thing that we get asked on a regular basis, like, what is a VNO, a virtual network operators? Like, is that what Bix is?
Well, that's basically what we are. It's a mobile virtual network operator where we don't own the hardware. We don't own the network because that is owned by the carriers. I mean, AT&T owns their towers. We can't climb them. We can't fix them. We can't log into them. But we can sell services off of that. And that's basically what we do. We're basically just a reseller. We're not a wholesaler. We don't wholesale to other companies and things. There are wholesalers out there. We buy some lines from them. They make contracts. We buy our lines from them. So they give us a portal access where we can actually start, we can troubleshoot some SIMs. We can turn the SIMs on, activate them, cancel the SIMs and those kinds of things. We have limited access to some of them. Some of them we don't have any at all. We send in a ticket and they get back with us in so many hours, and that's how it works. But we're basically an operator that doesn't own the network.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
One thing that we found very interesting when we first talked is that you told us that there's a certain pecking order to cell towers, right?
There is.
Can you tell us a little bit about that sort of pecking order on these cell towers?
Sure. And this kind of goes back what I was mentioning before about, say you've got 2 towers and on this tower here, you've got 4 bands. This tower here has got 3 bands. And I'm just going to use that for an example. And on these towers, different bands operate a little differently. There's more bandwidth available on some of the LTE bands than other LTE. In fact, you can take a modem and get within the same distance of tower A with your modem and get a different speed than going to tower B and being the same distance from it, just because the band you're connecting to up on this tower is a different band that you connected to on that tower. We've also seen where there is, the beautiful thing about LTE is it's an automatic thing that rolls over. When you're driving down the interstate with your cell phone, you're making a call, you can go from New York to California and really rarely drop a phone call because it roams from tower to tower to tower. Right. Kind of does the same thing with this. And, AT&T and all the carriers have issues at times. Stuff breaks. Welcome to technology. So we've had customers call us, say, hey, my internet just dropped to like 10 megs. I was getting like 90 megs. What happened? Well, they had a problem on that tower. The band you connected up to dropped. So you rolled over to the next thing available, which that band you're on now doesn't have as much bandwidth available. When's it going to be fixed? We don't know. We don't own the network. Usually within a couple of days. And, we've talked to the customers later, say, 2 days later, my internet was back and everything was good again. And I did nothing. Yeah. And that's right. It's all on the carrier at that point. So the towers have more bandwidth available on certain channels, and we don't know which ones those are. There's really not a good way to research that. You don't really know. That's why we don't have a contract. We don't guarantee any speeds because we don't know where you are. We don't know how good of a modem you're using. We don't know what band you're going to connect up to. And all these are factors that play into the performance of your internet. Now, all the service is really good. I can get a 5 meg service off of a tower, and it's really low latency. It's gaming quality. It's video quality. I can do a lot on a small amount of data. The days of needing 100 meg connection to watch a video, that doesn't match up. You don't need that much data on a good connection. Now, if you got a really crappy connection at 100 megs, maybe so. But with ours, it's very low latency. It's very high packet per second ratio. The other thing that makes a big difference is the type of modem that you use. And let me say this, that every modem that's on the market, you know, if you go look at modems, if you're not familiar with LTE modems, it's actually kind of confusing. There's so many of them. There's probably 100 different companies. There's 100 different models, and there's 100 different prices. What's the difference? Well, remember this, that every modem is classified by its category. You're going to see category 4, category 6, category 12, category 14, category 18. The higher the category, the better the modem and the better the performance typically. This is a category 14 modem. And, you know, if you go to Amazon, you'll see some modems on there that are a category 4 modem. You can probably buy for, you know, like $100 or, you know, $129 and things like that. They'll work, but they're not going to work the way a much better modem is going to work. A category 14 modem is going to beat a category 4 modem every time, every single time. And what happens is this modem here, because it's category 14, will do what's called aggregation. And what aggregation is, and I'll keep this real simple, there's different types of aggregation, but for most people, aggregation is basically, it has more than one antenna in it or more than one modem in it, and it connects up to the tower in multiple streams and combines that and gives you the sum of both of those streams. That's why a category 14 modem here, which does have, this does aggregation, compared to like a Netgear LB1120 or some of the Chinese modems will not aggregate. You're getting one stream, one signal, one service. Where this is, you're getting multiple ones. This is a 4x4 MIMO for those of you that are a little more techie. It's got 4 different antennas in there. It uses 4 different signals and combines them. And I believe it's got 2 modems in it that will actually connect up. Now, I may be wrong on that, but we've actually set this side by side between some modems that cost about $1,000, and we didn't see a whole lot of difference. It's pretty incredible. So, you know, the modem choice that you get, well, it's like buying a car. You know, how come my car can go 100 miles an hour, but your car, you know, goes 200 miles an hour? Well, I got a better car. So you're going to see that with your internet service.
Yeah, Steve, I'm going to ask a very silly question because I know somebody out there is going to want to ask this. Where do you find, is like the level modem on the box? Does it say like level 4, level 10? Are they labeled that way, or how do you figure out what it is?
Possibly. Most of them will be in the fine print or in the manual. If you're looking at a modem and you go and you search that modem, what that modem specific the specifications are, it's going to give you the category modem and how many bands it has in it. A category 4 modem will typically have 4 bands in it. That's all you're going to get. A category 6 modem will have more than that. So what happens is, for example, if you've got a category 4 modem and you've got a tower that's say 4 miles from you, and you're picking up say band 12 on your modem. That's just one of the bands on a category 4 modem is band 12. But there's also another band over there that's a whole lot hotter than that, and it runs a lot better. You're not going to get that band because you've only got a category 4 modem. You only have 4 bands available in here, which may or may not be the better band that's offered on that tower. So by getting a higher category of modem, you're going to have more bands and it's more opportunities to have a better signal to that tower.
That makes sense.
Let me just ask this question, because this again is probably going to be a follow-up question. We're kind of like turnkey people. What sort of level modems do you sell there? Because I mean, obviously we have one, but I'm just kind of curious.
You mean like do we sell like a full package then?
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of links into this one from EXT Spins. He says, looking at the website, states $179 for AT&T Unlimited after taxes, etc. What's the real estimated final cost per month?
$179.95.
Okay.
Period. We don't have any surcharges. I know I'm a Verizon customer, so I see my bill. And it's got 911 charges, it's got surcharges, it's got state tax, it's got federal. I mean, it's a list a mile long of all these extra charges in there. We don't. We have one price, and it's the price you see on our website is the price we charge you for the service month in, month out.
Well, and then also on top of that, y'all have a fall special going on right now.
We do. Right now, we've got a fall special, and it's pretty cool. we've never done this before, but these modems, if you go to Best Buy and buy these, they're $349 most of the time. Sometimes you can get them on sale for $299. We've got these for $150. They're brand new, full 1-year warranty. And they come with a service in them already set and ready to go, unlimited package, and the whole thing's $149. So, and I know if you've got your own modem, you know, a lot of people will buy the $179 because they want the unlimited service on their own modem. But this, I know you got to buy the modem, and it's just part of the package, just the deal we got. That's why we're offering that. I know you got to buy the modem for $150, but within about 4 months' time, you're going to have the modem paid for, and you're still going to be $30 a month cheaper, and you're still getting the same service. So it's a pretty good deal we've got going on right now.
Love that. Thanks, Steve. And I will say we love that part about it, that it is just super transparent. It's not like my Verizon phone bill, which gets 7,000 additional charges to whatever they said they were
right. It's like
$29.99
and then like $79 in charges, you know?
Yeah,
they kind of sneak those in there.
Yeah, it is so straightforward.
I'm like, what is this tire disposal fee? It's internet service. Yeah, I know. It's just
we don't charge any sales tax because we're just selling the service only. So we don't charge any, you know, all those extra charges you see and stuff, we build into the price. In other words, when you see that price on our website, that's what you're charged to the penny every month.
And you also get, if you add our Wander Local promo code, you get a special for that too, right, Steve?
That's right. If you use Wander Local, when you sign up and you use Wander Local, we're going to give you another $10 off on your next month's service.
So just because y'all are our friends, that's pretty awesome.
We got an incredible deal going on right now. We're going to make it even sweeter. If you want to use the promo code, you'll even get $10 off your following month's bill. So just use the promo code when you sign up, and don't matter what package you buy, whether it's the fall special or unlimited package. We got other packages on there you can get, but if you get any of our packages, you're gonna get the discount.
Sweet. Okay, another good question. Does the quality of the modem help when you have an overload tower like we had in Lebanon when we had 800 Airstream? So this is back to talking about our experience at the Airstream rally. There were 800 of us there.
And if you haven't realized it by now, you're going to be heavily requested to attend this next rally.
Well, I'm going to answer that question with a lot of experience. I've actually done the Quartzsite RV show in Quartzsite, Arizona. We've done it 4 years in a row, and we were vendors out there. And Quartzsite has like 3 towers in town and a couple of them on the outskirts of town, and there's 1 million people there. Literally, those towers can't handle it. Now we're using high quality modems, you know, the category 14s. They will help to a degree, but bandwidth is bandwidth. When you run out of bandwidth, I don't care how good of a modem you got it. When that tower is being drained of all of its bandwidth, you're going to lose. Now there was a few nights where we actually had really good service there, and it was working great for us in Quartzsite. And our neighbor, who had a cheaper modem, couldn't even get online. But I had a better modem that had more bands available. I hit a band that was not used as much, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. But we've seen it time and time again. We're having a higher category of modem and having more bands available will give you more opportunities. And I just had an opportunity then. But during the middle part of the show and to the rest of the show, it was really bad because these towers were not built to sustain 800 people for a weekend on a single tower using that much data.
Oh my.
Well, and I will say we worked while we were at the Airstream rally and used the solution and had video calls and did stuff like this, and we're still able to function. So I think in that particular instance, because it wasn't 1 million people, we did okay. It wasn't necessarily as fast as it would have been like at some other places that we have been. I don't think I did any kind of like video. Actually, I did do video upload that day because we did the hot chip challenge video while we were there.
Oh, that was
If you haven't seen the hot chip challenge video, it might be my favorite video we have ever produced because it's hilarious. But we did that at the Airstream rally and uploaded it while we were actually on site. So we had no problem with our internet while we were there, which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
So like I say, you know, it's hard to answer that because again, cell towers are not created equal. Some cell towers have a fiber backbone going to them. You know, these cell towers out there don't get their internet from the sky. They all get it from either copper wires going to them or from a fiber connection, or they get it from wireless dishes that they've got on the side of it. If they've got a fiber backbone going to them, there's going to be more data available to them. If it's copper or a wireless dish, probably not as much. And it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're getting. Most towers out there in America have a fiber backbone to them. The carriers have done a really good job of updating most of their towers to fiber. But there's still some out there that don't have fiber on them yet. So there's not as much data available.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, Bill has a great question. How long does the fall special rate last? $149 a month for until
That's a good
when?
question. Like, and well, what do you get for it? I guess, right? Like bandwidth. Also, how deprioritized is the service?
Well, what happens with the first part of your question is we don't know.
Okay,
we're not sure how long. It's probably going to depend on how many we keep in stock and how many we're going to be able to get. So this is an ongoing deal that we've got with them right now. We may even call this a spring special if we get enough modems to carry us over. Right now, we've got hundreds of modems in stock, but they're going pretty quickly. If we run out, we don't get any more till February, we may end the program and then pick it back up when we get more modems in. We don't really know just yet. So it's a hard question to answer.
But from a standpoint, if you purchased it now, assuming that you're good on the number of modems, does it last for the life of however long you have?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Whenever someone gets our service, they're grandfathered in at that price. In other words, if we have a higher price later, you won't do that. You're grandfathered in because we bought that line at that time for you, and that line is locked in. So we've never in the history of our company raised someone's service that stayed on the same line. Now, if they switched over to a different line or they had to switch for whatever reason, there's been there might be a price change then. We've actually had some go down, believe it or not. We've had some go down. The majority of them have not, though. They've gone up because there was a different contract offered and the price went up. The second part of his question is, how are we deprioritized? And that happens sometimes on certain plans. Our plans are not deprioritized. However, there is, Daniel, what you were talking about, a pecking order on a tower. Sure. Emergency services, cell phone calls, text messages all get first priority on every cell tower. I don't care where you are in the country. Those are going to get top priorities, top billing, every cell tower. It's just the way the network is built. Outside of that, customers that are using it, we've found that it's rare that we've ever seen anybody get deprioritized on our network with just actual bandwidth.
And Steve, that promo code was just Wander Local?
Wander Local.
Okay.
And if they misspell it, we'll catch it.
Huh? Yeah. Cool. I wanted to add that there.
Perfect.
XT Spence.
And then this is actually one of the questions that we talked about as well that I think is so interesting. How about Starlink? What does it do to the industry?
And I'll take nothing away from Starlink because I know some folks that have gotten it and they really like the service. You can't, it's not for everybody because obviously if you're like me and I live in the woods, it's not going to work well for me because there's going to be times it's going to drop in and drop out and that kind of thing. And it's not going to be real reliable for where I'm at. So now things may change as they put more birds up. And one thing that we don't know is what it's going to be like when they really load the system up. Right now, it's early on in their history. They don't have that many customers on it. It's working fairly well. But when you put millions of customers, just like the Wi-Fi at the campground, when you put lots of customers on there, it really drains the network. And there's talk in the industry right now that, people are speculating, will it actually remain good with millions of customers on there? We don't know.
Sure.
And maybe they've got some great technology that is not been tested yet. So this may be a surprise for everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to add to that. We were on the beta program. We've probably been on that beta list for close to a year. Maybe over a year. And we're still waiting. And I think I just read today that they pushed it back until like 2022, 2023 because of obviously chip supply and some other design.
Yeah, I've heard some problems and some things like that. And we've been hearing some, I don't know if it was a technical issue, if it was a supply chain, we don't really know, but we've been hearing that as well.
Yeah.
And Bill, I actually know the answer to this question. There's not very many technical questions that I can answer, but there is no contract. So it's just a month-to-month service. You purchase the month, you get the full month, and it just continues until you want to cancel, which is pretty great.
That's right.
All right. Yeah. Next one.
So if I already had AT&T, this is a separate line for the RV, correct?
That is correct.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So in other words, we are going to be outside of your phone. In other words, we can't blend in with your phone contract that you've got. So in other words, if you have an AT&T cell phone plan, we are going to be a separate plan. Even though it's with the same carrier, we have no way of bundling your cell phone plan into our unlimited data package plan. So it's just, they just don't work that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is one that I can definitely answer, because before we met Steve, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and we called a bunch of carriers, and they sold us so many things. It started with, we're still using the PepWave Max Transit Duo right here, which may or may not be overkill. It definitely gets hot. We had purchased like some magnetic like antennas, and of course we have aluminum, so none of that worked. We ended up sending all of that back as well. So ultimately we just wound up with just this and Steve's SIM card, and that was it.
So we still have we have Verizon phones in general. Yeah. We still have a SIM card that's directly from the carrier that we had from previously trying to figure out our internet solution. We use that as a backup, which maybe we
never used it.
I can't even think of the last time we've used it since we got our solution. But we love it. But from a standpoint of, you mentioned our 2021 classic internet. I'm assuming you mean the Airstream Connect when you speak to that. It's not that it doesn't work well. While our Airstream was being built, we were in a media unit that Airstream corporate provided. And one really wonderful thing about that unit was that it was connected to Airstream's AT&T account. And anytime we maxed it out, they just ran the card and just let it continue running. And we had no idea how much data we were consuming while we were doing that. So when we got our new Airstream, we were like, oh, yay, yeah, the same thing will apply. We'll just put our credit card on file, except we found out that it would be costing us like $300+ a month because their solution, it's like for 100 gigs, it's $300. Boom. We can go through 100 gigs in a week. So because of that, that's why that solution didn't work for us. We're just too much of data hogs. If you were just checking your email and like whatever, doing some basic email or internet searching, it may be great, but we just use way too much data for that to be a solution for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we've missed like 100 questions. Okay, hold on. Let me
we're
see.
trying to get caught up here. Let's see here. Ed talked about the Starlink not being mobile. I think they're still working on some sort of configuration that's mobile, but that's still, again, it's all beta, so it's hard to say where that's going to settle.
Bill says the loaner Airstream that now has a new awning.
That is true.
So true,
Steve, our loaner unit from Airstream, the awning may or may not have broken. We may or may not have had something to do with that.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. That's for sure.
That's another story for sure.
All right. Well, we are right at the 1 hour mark, which is what we had planned for this evening. So first of all, everybody who joined, thank you so much for your questions. This was exactly what we were hoping that we would get to do tonight, and why we wanted to bring Steve online. I think one of my favorite comments was that Steve would definitely be the belle of the ball at the Airstream rally, because that's exactly how we felt when we met him, and he actually could talk like real human speak about RV internet. So Steve, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. This really has been a pleasure. Again, for those of you who are interested in learning more about Steve's company and his service, they are a locally owned business. They're based out of Tennessee, and it's called Bix Wireless. You can check them out on their website. And if you have specific questions, do what we did. Give them a call. You can talk directly to Steve or one of his team members, and they will be able to answer all your questions. I think Steve talked to us on the phone for like a solid hour and a half.
He's a saint.
The first time.
Well, I don't normally talk to everybody for an hour, but you two were good.
But I mean, you guys are so helpful across the board. Anytime we've had any kind of questions, you or somebody on your team has been willing to chat with us and help us figure out whatever we needed. So we really, really appreciate your service and your team. Y'all are awesome.
Ed's chime in here with the code. So maybe Steve is a good point to talk about the specials you have going on, the promo code, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, like I said, we've got a special. We're calling it our fall special right now. If they use, if they want unlimited internet service, no contract, and they get a modem. Now the modem is $149 for the modem, and that's free shipping on it. They get the service with it. Now the service is $149 a month. So what? These are prepaid lines. So when you buy the modem, I think it comes to $308. That includes the shipping. That's for the modem, the first month service, and it's prepaid each month. So it's a really good deal for unlimited service. These, if you know anything about the Nighthawk, they're one of the best modems you can get. They're kind of nice because you can plug these in at your house on the power and take the battery out, or you can put the battery in and walk around with it. And there's been many times I've done that. I've gone hiking and we've gone places and we put this in a pocket. We got high-speed internet while we're on a mountaintop in Arizona, and we're doing a stream from the top of a mountain, so it's pretty cool. And
we should do a stream from the top of a mountain. That sounds awesome.
Wait a minute, mine is plugged in at all times here.
Yep. So with these, you can do both of these. These are kind of cool. They got a battery in them, and you can just use them in your, in your home or your RV, your truck, wherever you are. So it's when my wife and I traveled, when we go out west, we're on the road for 3 days pulling our camper, and this is sitting on the dash, and my wife's got her tablet, and she can sit there and stream, watch movies from, we got TV that we're streaming all the way to the West Coast. So it's pretty cool. Nice. But anyway, if they use Wander Local promo code, we're going to give you an additional $10 off on your second month service. Just use that code when you sign up. And it's and like I say, what we got, it's a great deal. And we're going to make it even better if you use this. So we're kind of excited about it. It's a deal like we've never gotten before, because we got these things just dirt cheap because we bought so many of them. We had to agree to buy so many of them. We're going to pass the savings on to the customers.
Didn't you say the retail on that modem was like $300 or something?
Yeah, if you go to Best Buy's website, I've not been there in a couple of weeks, but these are $349 on their website. Limited supply on them too. They run out on them a lot. I've seen them on sale at Best Buy's for $299. We've got them for $150. So that's and they're brand new. So it's a fantastic deal.
Pretty legit. And Ed asks, does it work with Apple streaming or with Apple TV? Absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
we're Apple TV
everything.
addicts. That totally works.
Stream a Ring wireless doorbell, 2 Google Homes, 2 laptops,
2 Apple TVs,
2 Apple TVs, and an iPad. So that's our
so all of those work.
Yeah, about any service that you would run on any other service will work on ours outside of a static IP address. So if you're streaming any kind of a service, if you're doing any kind of online gaming, websites, email, pretty much anything you would do on any typical service, you can do on our service as well.
Very cool. I love it. Okay. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. I know it comes not only from us, but from everybody who has joined, because this information has been freaking fantastic. And we look forward to seeing you again soon, probably at the Airstream rally.
Great. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm a busy guy, but maybe we'll make that.
All right. We'll try to pull your arm. All right, guys. Well, until next time, thanks again for hanging out with us tonight, and we will talk to you soon.
See you.